evening. You're with the Newshour Agenda. I'm Maldas Gopalakrishnan. Now, there's some breaking news coming in at the top of the show, and this is a massive fallout of the Delhi liquor scam after Delhi LG's recommendation. Sources are now telling Times Now that the MHA has suspended two former Excise Department officials, that is the then Commissioner and the then Deputy Commissioner of the Excise Department. Let's go right across to Niyamika, who's joining us with this breaking bit of information. Very, very big development, Niyamika, indeed. The LG had recommended the suspension of these two officials, one of whom is an IS officer, the other is a DANIX officer. Take us through the details of what exactly has happened.
Today, the Ministry of Home Affairs have suspended the then Excise Commissioner Gopi Krishna and his deputy Anand Kumar Tiwari, who were being involved in the implementation of the new excise policy in Delhi. And this has been comes up after the recommendation of the suspension of these two officers by the Delhi's Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena. The Ministry of Home Affairs has decided to suspend these two officers in connection to the new corruption which is being done in the new excise policy. And it must be noted that earlier the names of 11 officers were being revealed in the investigation report related to the new excise policy, out of which 9 officers have already been suspended, including the suspension of these two officers by the Ministry of Home Affairs, as it is the MHA who has the power to suspend these officers. And this has come after the Lieutenant Governor has given a recommendation to the MHA for the suspension of these officers regarding the alleged scam which has been done by the Delhi government, and that is the reason why this recommendation was being given by the LG. And the CBI has also raided the residence of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia in connection to this case recently.
Absolutely. And in fact, not just Delhi Deputy Chief Minister, but 20 other locations where raids were carried out, as you rightly put it, on Friday. Niyamika, of course, this is the subject of much heated political debate in the national capital, with the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party, in fact, hitting out at each other for the past 4 days since those raids have taken place. Of course, in any case, a news development coming in that the Ministry of Home Affairs has decided to act on the LG's recommendation. Certainly a significant development there. Thanks so much for bringing us that breaking piece of information, Niyamika Singh. All right, moving on to another top focus story. The Indian national security apparatus, in fact, following the development as far as a global Islamist terror plot is concerned to avenge the insult to the Prophet, has been put on high alert. Now, with this entire matter being busted in Russia, the Russian security service catching an ISIS suicide bomber en route to India to allegedly kill a leader from the ruling party. Times Now has accessed his confession tape, where Azamov reveals how he was radicalized to blow himself up in a bid to avenge the Prophet. The Russian sleuths claim that he was recruited in Turkey and then radicalized online and trained for a suicide mission. This sensational terror bust has the shields up of our security apparatus. A red alert's been sounded. There's been a chorus to dismantle the Islamist mindset slowly poisoning India. Remember how open calls of Sir Tan Se Juda against Nupur Sharma were backed by the ecosystem, which fanned Islamist fury in India. All right, and we have some breaking news coming in on the story. In fact, the Indian national security apparatus has been briefed by Russian counterparts on the details of the terrorist. This is a terrorist by the name of Mashrab Khan Azamov, and he is in fact of Uzbek nationality. That's the breaking update coming in. We will try and connect with our reporters for more on these details, but big development indeed, with the Russian authorities formally reaching out to India and giving us these details as far as the individual is concerned. His nationality is that of Uzbekistan, and of course he is of the name Mashrab Khan Azamov. That's the information coming in. Radicalized, in fact, in Turkey, and in fact was traveling through Russia to India is the information coming in. And this is in fact a part of the global Islamist terror plot that has been busted in Russia. This suicide bomber being caught by Russian authorities, and of course it was a bid to avenge the insult to the Prophet, is what Russian authorities have said. They also claim that he was recruited in Turkey and radicalized online and trained for a suicide mission. This sensational terror bust has, of course, Indian authorities on alert, and red alert has been sounded. There is, of course, a chorus to dismantle the Islamist mindset that is poisoning India. Now, there were, of course, calls for Ratan Sharda against Nupur Sharma that were backed by the ecosystem, which fanned Islamist fury here in India. Watch what has been done by those who today have declared jihad on India and how it has been enabled.
В апреле 2022 год дал байат амиру исламского государства по имени Юсуф Таджики. В 2022 году приходил специальную подготовку в Турцию. В 2022 году по указанию Юсуфа Таджика я летел в Россию. Я приехал в Россию, откуда должен был выход в Индию. В Индию меня должен встречать было и необходимые для встречать и дать все необходимые вещи для совершения теракта. По указанию исламского государства за оскорбление пророка Мухаммада.
And Times Now is the only channel reporting live from Moscow on the inside track as far as the Russian security services interrogation of the suicide bomber is concerned. Here's a report by Dasha Cherinovska.
Russian Federal Security Service, FSB, say they have identified and detained a man, a native of one of the countries in the Central Asian region. He was in Russia plotting to commit a suicide terrorist attack in India against one of the members of the ruling elites. Now, the man, according to the Russian Special Services, has been recruited by the Islamic State International Terrorist Organization, which is outlawed in Russia. He was indoctrinated online through the Telegram application. And then, of course, he was supposed to travel to India, where he was supposed to be given all the necessary things to commit this terror attack. And Russia has been saying that they are viewing at this moment the resurgence of the Islamic militants globally.
All right, and in fact, my colleague Priyank has been in touch with Indian authorities who have confirmed the details as far as this particular individual is concerned, the terrorist, in this case, Azamov. Priyank, what have authorities been telling you as far as the briefing by Russian authorities to Indian authorities are concerned? What are the details that you can share with us?
See, Madhav, only the day we spoke to the senior officials in the National Investigating Agency, they did not got any kind of information from the Russian counterpart. But later to that, when we checked with the senior, Indian authorities, we have got to know that they have been communicated from the Russian authorities regarding the suspect. As of now, we only got the surname of this suspect, which was Azamov. But now we have the full details of this particular suspect whose identity has been revealed as Mashraf Khan Azamov, who is a Uzbeki national. So far, what we were also suspecting that the manner in which he has been speaking is not Russian. And when the agencies analyzed, it has been found that he's a national from Uzbekistan who was indoctrinated, as our colleague has already reported from Russia. And later to that, what it has been found that Azamov was about to carry out any kind of suspected attack on a very senior, dignitary from the country.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Priyank, thanks so much for joining us. We'll continue to track all the developments from India's premier investigating agencies, those particularly dealing with terror. Let me quickly take this across to our panel now. With us is Ratan Sharda, author. Sushant Sareen is advisor of the ORF. We also have with us Majid Hyderi, political analyst. Zubair Memon is also with us. He's a political analyst, as well as Tausif Ahmed. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. Sushant Sareen, first, this breaking bit of information I want to come to you on the fact that he's an Uzbek national. It was earlier believed that he perhaps could have been from Russia or from Turkey, but now information coming in, and in fact the intelligence agencies and other officials sharing that information with their Indian counterparts from Russia.
Madhav, it doesn't really come as a surprise because
we know that there have been many people from Central Asian republics who have made a beeline and joined the ISIS. We also know that Turkey has been a bit of an epicenter, or at least one of the major routes to go and join ISIS in Syria when the ISIS still had a para-state. But the Turks, they've been rather ambivalent as far as the ISIS is concerned. They've done business with them also. So none of this really comes as a surprise. and the route which they were taking. I think what is the most important thing from my perspective is not just the international linkages, but the fact that this fellow was planning to come into India, and there was some cell in India which would be coordinating with him, which would be providing him with all the explosives and the necessary logistical support to carry out this attack. Who the target was is not known as of now. But this whole thing that, wanted to avenge the honor of the Prophet, as though the honor of the Prophet depends upon, a murderer like him or a terrorist. I think the Prophet is a lot greater than any of these lowlifes who pretend to be, adhering to the Prophet or upholding his honor. So that is one. The second is that this wave of fanaticism, which, we have been in denial that it does not touch Indian shores. I think it is very clear, has been for many years, that what is going to be sweeping through the rest of the Islamic world will also touch Indian shores and also impact some people in India, as it has. And I think as you go forward, this will expand, particularly, Madhav, because the international jihadist groups like the Al-Qaeda or the ISIS or even the regional ones make no bones about the fact that South Asia is their largest market. The largest number of Muslims anywhere in the world live in South Asia. You cannot but recruit or try to recruit as many of these people into your organizations and influence them and indoctrinate them as is possible. So for us to be in denial that Indian Muslims do not take to this ideology, I think that's something we need to get out of.
By and large been unsuccessful, but there is a section of people. I'm going to bring in now the political aspect of it. Thanks so much for giving us those details on what the precedent has been, Sushant Sareen. But I'm going to go right across to Majid Hyderi. And Majid Hyderi, many would say that it is politicians within India who have made all sorts of provocative statements. We have a member of parliament, for instance, who asked for the hanging. We have Sir Tanseh Juda, which has been seen at several such protests. We have others such as Shafiur Rahman Burke, who has said that this is a natural reaction. There are those who are normalizing this kind of violent behavior right here in India. And many would say that too is a contributing factor.
Such a topic that we shouldn't fight over this topic with each other. We should have a unanimous consensus that we'll fight terror, be it Al-Qaeda terror, ISIS terror, separate terror, whatever, me, you, Sushantji, Ratan Sharda, we all will unitedly fight terror, and that should be our topic. But here the problem is that, see, one woman has been declared fringe by the BJP. And now her ideology is becoming, a recipe for indoctrination. So what needs to be interpreted is that what is behind this? What is the conspiracy behind this? How is this woman involved into this international terror network? Now that she is attracting international terror outfits into our country, it's a big security concern. So unless that woman is arrested and questioned as to what her role is in all this indoctrination, she has become the recipe for worldwide indoctrination. Unless she is arrested and questioned, we won't be able to solve this mystery, which has jeopardized our national security at the moment. At the moment, I am concerned about my national security, about my government, about my people, and that is my simple concern. So unless that fringe is arrested, we won't be able to.
But that does not justify those provocative statements either, Majid Hyderi. These kind of provocative statements that have come in from a large swath of leaders, clearly at some level that has also played a role. You can, of course, choose to blame Nupur Sharma for beginning it, but what about those who have come out and made these provocative statements? Is that responsible for members of parliament to actually be saying that, leave alone fringe elements?
See, Madhav Saab, I have never named Nupur Sharma. I said that fringe woman who has been named fringe by BJP itself, who has never apologized for what she did. She put the entire country on fire, and then she has never been arrested. So there is some element of mystery. I mean, BJP or separate connections with the terror are nothing new. We have seen that when Kandahar flight took place and Azhar Masood was released. We have seen it in multiple cases. We have recently seen terrorists having shared selfies with BJP leaders. So it's a big conspiracy, brother. We need to solve it, and it can be solved only through investigation.
Ratan Sharda, Dr. Ratan Sharda, please respond. Please respond. It's because action has not been taken against Nupur Sharma that there is unrest, is the claim of Majid Hyderi. Please respond to him.
I am more wary of people like Majid Hyderi who give cover to such people with very nice sounding words. I would be much more happy with a very blunt and very front, attack by any Muslim who would say that, okay, this is wrong, that is right. Or if you upfront say that these kind of Talibani acts don't go anywhere. But this person tells me that Nupur Sharma is involved in Somalia hotel attack right now? Does he say that Boko Haram violence continuously in Nigeria is because of Nupur Sharma? Is he saying that the violence across Europe in nearly every country is because of Nupur Sharma? Trying to name any lady, if he's not giving the name, I know what he means, but are you saying that before Nupur Sharma spoke on TV, there was no Muslim terror, there was no Islamic terror, there was no violence anywhere in the world was a happy living place, there was no Yemen, there was no Iraq, no Iran fighting with each other? Please come out of it. We have to admit that there is a very strong nexus of people, of the organizations like ISIS across the world now. So a person from Uzbekistan can get trained in Turkey, go to Russia and try to come to India. He's not the lone person. Such cases are coming every day to light. So rather than saying that, okay, let's have a better security environment with the international community, he's trying to blame one woman for that. I am ashamed this kind of people are the people who actually create all this mayhem. And the kind of thing we're talking about, I don't understand. For years together, same group of people have been defending every extremist, every terrorist in the name of humanity, in the name of human rights. They supported CA, totally illogical protests that led to riots of CA. They were protecting Rohingyas in all the debates you see. They are protecting illegal infiltrators all the through, and they are also protecting rioters. So this approach of our nice people here is the problem. Majid ji, आपने बोल लिया, आपने जो कहना था आप भेड़ की खाल में जो आपने बोलना था बोल दिया. We have to confront. We have to confront that terror of any kind is not allowed. ISIS recruitment happened in Kerala for many years back. We just underplayed it.
Right.
So we have to understand there are now very strong networks who are trying to radicalize people with falsehood, with fakery, and our people sitting in India, this network of secular, illiberal, and all these Jamaat are the people who
let me bring in
encourage them.
Okay. Let me bring in Zubair Memon on that point of radicalization, sir. We have seen instances in the state of Assam, several instances in the recent weeks of people who have been arrested on the charges, on the grounds of radicalizing and various other such actions. In fact, the state government has announced certain SOPs also today over there. But it's not just Assam. There are several such instances and several public statements even that I just referred to as well, Zubair Memon. Isn't there a responsibility of not just elected leaders but any leader to ensure that you do not provoke people into any kind of violence? Otherwise, we will have more incidents such as what happened in Rajasthan.
Yes, absolutely. You called out some two members of parliament. I think it was Imtiaz Jalil and Barsa from Uttar Pradesh, that they have said statements that are radicalizing the public. So I would kindly request you, if you have those statements, please put them in front of the law and let the law of the land take the action. If they have said anything radical, I have not gone far for any of the statements that are radical from that side. The actual problem is...
So you don't think calling for the hanging of any individual by a member of parliament, do you think that is something that is acceptable for the lawmakers of parliament to call for an extrajudicial hanging? Actually, that is acceptable according to you, sir?
The debate subject is not that, and you are again misquoting the member of parliament. I would not like to debate on that subject. If they have said so, sir, if you are saying and claiming that they have said so, then they should...
There is videos of them, sir. You want me to play out videos of them saying so?
Silence is the problem. This silence is the problem.
No, it is not silence, sir. It is a denial. These are all in public domain. This is not something that I am saying for the first time, sir. It's caused outrage on social media. It is there. Why live in denial, sir? It is a fact.
I am not living in denial.
And I am not saying that any one side is solely responsible, by the way. There are those on either side who make irresponsible statements. If there are Yati Narasimhanans who make irresponsible statements, then all these individuals should also be condemned. What is the difficulty in calling out such individuals?
I am clearly saying that, sir. You are misquoting the member of parliament. I am not...
What is the correct quote? What is the correct quote?
You are completely misquoting it.
Please see what he has said.
Video yourself again.
Calls to behead is Kriya Pratikriya. This is Shafiur Rahman Bark. That's his quote there, right on the screen there. And you can see there is a soundbite that he has given saying so. There is a similar quote of Mr. Imtiaz Jalil, which we'll just put on the screen as well, where he has called for hanging. All right, this is in fact the statements of Mr. Owaisi.
I would kindly suggest you, if what you are
calls to hang Nupur on this very choraha by Imtiaz Jalil.
file a complaint against them, they will be tried under the law. Why are we media trialing them out here? There is a law of the land going on in a country. There is a constitution. There is an IPC. Just file a complaint against them. The law will take care. We have seen in last past that member of parliament and MLA.
Sir, but don't we have a responsibility as members of society? No, what I find very curious, Mr. Zubair Memon, is that as individuals, do we not have a responsibility either to not make provocative statements from whichever side or whichever ideology one may have?
Now, as a responsible citizen, when we have heard of a ISIS terrorist man from Russian counterpart, that there's a ISIS man who is trying to do suicide bombing or a terrorist activity in India, it's our agencies to find out who are his counterparts who are helping him out here in India. And I am quite sure that his counterparts, as earlier we have seen in many terror attacks, they would be near out to be. Means I doubt, and I am quite sure, I am not guaranteed that these counterparts of ISIS in India will come out to be from the RSS organization and the Indian investigation agencies.
Sir, this is absolutely bizarre, Mr. Zubair Memon. This is absolutely bizarre. Sushant Sareen, I can see you clutching your head. Please go ahead. Your response to Mr. Memon.
Hey, Madhav, what does one say to this guy? So, you know what Mr. Ratan Sharda said earlier? People like him basically provide covering fire. They try and deflect a clear, what is absolutely clear and apparent, and, use this red herring or this dog whistling of, the RSS behind it. Ask Mr. Menon who carried out the 26/11 attacks. Let me see what he says. Ask him that these guys keep talking about Nupur Sharma all the time. Are they saying that the hadiths which Nupur Sharma was quoting from, are those...
No, I don't want to get into that debate. I don't want to get into that debate. So, Sushant, I don't want to get into that debate because again...
You have to get into those debates simply because people like Mr. Memon use this kind of deflection to just try and throw dust in everybody's eyes and deviate and
I have another question though.
He's trying to do.
Can I add something?
Yes, absolutely. It's an attempt to deviate. We have limited time. Ratan Sharda, coming to you. I just want to give
just one small point.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Has he heard about Nadatul Ulama Fundanesia? It's a Muslim organization around for a long time which fights radicalism continuously, modernizes the Muslim Indonesian society, gives support to women to learn, educate, and gives all type of help to modernize the society, remaining Muslims. Instead of such people coming up in India and such organizations coming in India, these people are deflecting attention. First, not ready to accept that somebody made an outrageous statement, then trying to put the blame on RSS ki sajish and all that. These are the people who are danger to the country and to the world peace.
Absolutely. Why not put out? I think that's an important point. Important point. Yes, Tausif Ahmed. I want Tausif Ahmed to respond to that. Tausif Ahmed, there are several positive examples and models that Mr. Ratan Sharda is talking about. Why not bring out the positivity? That is something that is the requirement of the day. And at the same time, these are bizarre claims. You may not believe or you may not want to believe what the Indian government puts out in the public domain, but you are even questioning the government of Russia. You feel that is also completely fake news or fake information is what Mr. Zubair Memon is suggesting. Do you agree with that position, Tausif Ahmed?
You are again misquoting me. I have not claimed that...
Sir, you claim that this is an RSS link that is going to come to the person who has been arrested by Russia. You just said so a few minutes ago. You're going around in circles now, Mr. Memon, and you've had a lot of time. Let other panelists speak, please. Tausif Ahmed, please. 1 second, Mr. Memon, please. You're not making sense right now. Tausif Ahmed.
No, you see, a foreign national, any prudent person will ask this question. That a foreign national is arrested in a foreign country and no name of BJP is taken, and they are saying that this is...
His target was a BJP leader, sir.
Our authorities are linking it to India and linking it to Nupur Sharma. No, BJP name is not taken. And linking it to Nupur Sharma, no, not even female or male.
Sir, I don't know what news you have been reading.
This person was hired
all afternoon that his target was a BJP leader.
In April 2022, the incident happened in the end of May, and the
Sir, he was recruited in April. India was after the incident happened, he was given a mission to target a BJP leader.
He was recruited in April.
But does that mean as soon as you're recruited, you're given a mission?
Recruited in April.
What are you saying, Tausif Ahmed?
Statement in 27th of May, uproar in June. So for an incident, they recruited this person in advance. That is what you want us to believe.
Well, that's what the Russian authorities are saying. That's what the Russian authorities are saying. I don't know what is so difficult to understand if a person is recruited.
To take place in June.
Sir, if a person is recruited, does that mean that person on day one is given the mission that they have to be put on?
No, the claim, no. I tell you what is the difficulty. The difficulty is this arrest is being linked to Nupur Sharma only as an afterthought, only as a defense by the BJP, because they have not acted against Nupur Sharma. They have been shielding Nupur Sharma and they are under pressure. And how do they defend that? By coming up with these stories, by linking, oh, there is a threat, oh, look, there is an international conspiracy against India.
Many hands going up.
Unless there is concrete evidence, the government must refrain from making these statements, because these are afterthought, only in defense of their own action.
Okay, Sushant wants to respond to you on that point.
Against Nupur Sharma, and
okay,
they want to
it's an afterthought. Sushant Sareen, it's an afterthought, says Tausif Ahmed. Please respond to him.
No, number one, prosecute Nupur Sharma for what? From quoting from the Hadith? Is that a prosecutable offense? I don't know. Why doesn't... I just want to ask a very pointed question. Tausif, 1 second, I'm asking you a question.
Yeah, let's not justify any statement. There is obviously 1 second. Sushant, there's obviously something wrong with what Nupur said, and that's why the BJP has suspended her. Let's not go down that argument, but please let's come back to the argument of terror. Let's come back to the argument of terror, because he's saying that is being concocted now. Please respond to that point that he made.
On the argument of terror, people are recruited, people are starting to be trained, even suicide bombers. I just hope these people would ever study how suicide bombers are picked up, how they are trained, how they are then finally put to the job. It's a long drawn-out process in which they are indoctrinated. During the course of the indoctrination, they can be given a mission. Now, the fact of the matter, Madhav, and whatever is in the public domain, that's only my source of information. These guys were doing a lot of their communication on Telegram. Telegram happens to be a Russian-owned social media, communication tool.
Right.
And the Russians have faced these problems because a lot of people from Russia have made a beeline and joined the ISIS.
Okay.
Now, the Russians must have been keeping a close watch. They must have come across something. They must have picked up this guy. After interrogating him, they must have found out what has happened. And obviously, this has happened much earlier. It is only now that the Russian media has released this information.
All right.
On
that note,
Mr. Tausif to come up with this bizarre thing that, why was he recruited? When was he recruited?
No,
that's not the way how this whole terror networks work.
All right. We clearly have very, very different positions here. We don't have any personal comments. Let's not make any personal comments. We're completely out of time on this debate. I'd like to thank all our guests for joining us on this debate number 1 on the Newshour at 10.